And even sometimes that rest might mean pulling back from people you love, pulling
True.
back from your children, pulling back from your spouse, pulling back from people that you are close to. Sometimes you have to do that in order to, like you said, you're pouring into someone else. Hey, everybody, welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about redefining peace and how Black women 50 and over are redefining rest and resilience. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Angela, and welcome to Unapologetically 50 Plus, where we delve into the real, the raw, and the rewarding experiences of Black women 50 and beyond. I also have a huge favor to ask. If you find any value or enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and let YouTube know you want more of this content. It's free and you are helping us build this community. So thank you. We truly appreciate your support. Okay, let's dive into this conversation. So let's get started on this reclaiming our peace and how Black women over 50, how we are redefining rest and resilience.
All right now, with the record button hit. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot to hit it the first time.
Yes, we were on it. Because we did. We was gone, and now it's here. You get to hear it. Yes, please continue.
Oh my gosh. So again, we're going to talk about reclaiming our peace. And the first question, or the first thing we want to talk about, what are the opportunities once we decide as Black women to reclaim our peace and redefine what rest means to us and what it means to be resilient? And, we have to sometimes step back from the demands of our careers, whether we have our own business, obligations, and just a wide range of opportunities that happen for Black women, especially those of us 50 and over. How can we explore new interests and activities that we may have postponed because of work, family, relationships, and then we transition into more personal growth, new social connections, and, rediscover our passion. So what are some of those opportunities that we can start looking at once we decide as Black women, you know what, enough's enough. We are going to reclaim our peace. We are going to redefine what rest means to us. So for you, what were some of the opportunities that you were able to enjoy once you decide, you know what, especially in this new political arena, what did you decide? What were some of the opportunities that opened up for you just deciding that, hey, I'm going to reclaim my peace and I'm just going to do me?
So for me, it was about redefining my priorities.
Okay.
I wanted to thrive instead of just survive.
Yes.
So it meant taking a step back and how that shifted and transformed my health.
Okay.
Because as you get older, you start to feel those aches and pains. You start to feel all the things that, I might not look my age, but my body reminds me daily how old I am.
Right.
And I basically started with stress reduction. For me, was releasing being a strong Black woman.
Okay.
We are strong Black women, but why do we always have to be strong?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I just be a Black woman?
Right.
I've even told my children, I wore the cape my entire motherhood of being a super mom.
Mm-hmm.
I asked them, don't put that cape on. Just be mom.
Just be mom.
We don't need to be super. We don't need to always be strong.
Mm-hmm.
We know we have that within us.
Mm-hmm.
But that is why right now the 92% is resting.
Right.
Because we have always shown up, shown out, done this, done that.
Above and beyond.
Above and beyond what's required for everybody else but us.
And then when we need it, everybody crickets.
Chirp, chirp, all in the background. So releasing that, it released a lot of people don't realize there's chronic stress leads to high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes.
Yeah.
So releasing that, I have type 2 diabetes in my family. So I'm sorry, no, thank you. I released a lot of that, and then implementing, like, I exercise more, breathing I like my breathing app. You know that.
Yeah. Mhm.
And setting boundaries. And we did an episode on that.
Right.
Because truly setting boundaries that no means no.
Right.
Or this is what I can do, and that's it.
Right.
And what has done for me is it's lowered stress hormone. Say hello to my little guy. He wanted to be a part of the podcast. It has lowered my stress, but it's also given me more mental clarity, better emotional balance.
Mhm.
And then for me, that's also given me better sleep.
Right.
I was not sleeping, and I have my notes on this that I'm going to get to, but I wasn't sleeping. And what a lot of people don't realize is poor sleep increases memory loss. It adds to weight gain and a weakened immunity. And we need our immunities on point. And this weight gain over 50 ain't no joke, baby. Child.
Oh,
But a lot of the
right
weight,
now.
but a lot of the weight gain is cortisol. Cortisol is due to stress.
Right. And not getting enough rest.
So when you start reducing those cortisols, like reducing the cortisol in your body by getting more sleep, which means having a routine for sleep.
Yeah.
Meaning whether that's journaling, get away from your phone or your TV, doing breathing exercises, herbal tea, but something so that your body can just slow down and then rest. Yeah. And what you find is you get a better restorative sleep. Yeah. Which means you have more focus, more energy, and better health term benefits. So
yeah. And I was sitting here thinking, when was the last time I truly had rest?
Never. But anyway, maybe she'll figure it out. She's always doing something.
I'm always doing something. And that's that guilt. I think that's that guilt that, we're supposed to always be doing something, especially
why do we feel guilty? That's the thing. Why do we have that guilt? We should not have any guilt for just being.
Right. But the guilt, why should we have it? I agree 100%, but we do have it. And how do we mitigate? How do we lessen that guilt? Especially if you're trying to run a business or you're trying to build a business from scratch. How do you mitigate that guilt? And
so when was it?
When was what?
The last time that you just...
well, that's what I was going to say. The last time that I truly felt even an inkling of true rest. And true rest, I mean, my mind wasn't overthinking. My body felt truly relaxed. I was going to say in Portugal, not when we had the gummies.
Yes, when we had the gummies
not
too. When we had the gummies too. She was resting. She was in rest. She was resting.
We were all knocked out.
Baby, don't mess with that Portugal stuff, baby. But yes, I agree. Like when we were on the beach.
That beach was
with that brookie. It's a brownie and a cookie, baby. But on the beach.
Yeah.
Also the cave beach that we got to.
The cave.
We just sat there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
there was nothing going through my head.
Right.
Because I can say even in Portugal, when we were on the train ride where you would think you'd be, and I've captured video, she was overthinking.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting behind her. It was a great video, but she was thinking.
Yeah,
she couldn't even shut it. You could see in the video.
You could see in the video.
Thinking. I'm behind her screen. She don't even know I'm doing it. But you couldn't even. I'm sitting up here looking out the window like, ooh, you're thinking.
I'm thinking.
But on the beach, you're right. So we have to figure out how to not, because truly rest is an act of resistance for us as Black women.
Say it for the people in the back.
Rest is an act of resistance, especially for Black women.
Right.
Yes.
Why do you think as Black women, we feel that we have to always be at the forefront, always be, they won't admit it, but always kind of be the leaders of the leaders?
She shouldn't have asked me this question because I said, I believe it's due to systemic racism. They took the power away from the Black man because he's got the muscles and the brawn. And
he's the protector.
He's a protector, and his natural instinct would be to rise up. Okay. So you can't give the power to him because he may rise up, and some did.
Right.
So they gave it to the woman because we are the nurturers. And then they also punished people in front of the women because we're also protectors in our own right because we nurture and we protect. Okay. And so in the power that they gave us, we ran everything.
Okay.
We ran everything. And then to keep it peaceful, we stayed in the forefront. Because if your child, even now, if your child's in trouble,
Yeah.
claws come out, protector mode, but we also know how to use should know how to use, because some don't, but should know how to use our voices, because we've had to go up to the schools. We've had to
Right.
advocate. We are natural advocates.
Right.
For advocates, excuse me, not advocators.
Advocates.
Advocates for everyone. And that is generational. That is passed down and passed down and passed down.
Okay.
But what's not passed down because of some of the stuff that Black people have gone through is rest.
Okay.
And no means no.
What do you think this rest now will do for Black women and our society?
You already see it. The one thing, like with the election, the 92% is resting. You see that all over social media.
Okay.
However, I still see, us included, we still can't help but give just a little bit or a little something or educate something. We're still doing it, but we're thinking more about it.
Okay.
And then what I've noticed is, like, there's been protests. We ain't there.
Okay.
We are not there.
Okay.
There have been protests and we are not there. But then we get complaints. Why aren't the Black women here with us? Why aren't they supporting us? We support. No, you didn't.
No, right. Really? When? I mean,
well, then it's like, I want to ask Black people. I want to ask Black women. Don't ask us nothing. Okay. Google it, because we've already answered it. We've already answered it. We are really stepping. So that's what I'm saying. We are really taking that step back to say it is time for everyone else to catch up, so that we don't have, it's not on all of us.
We're not carrying the weight.
It's called, we're carrying it together, or we're not carrying it at all right now.
Right.
And I know they're like, well, it benefits you too. We've been saying that. It's been benefiting us. The strides that we have made has been beneficial, like DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion.
For everybody.
Everybody. In fact, the list is the number 1 helps white women. The number 8 is Black people. Wow. So everybody thinks DEI means, Black, helping Black people. No.
Right.
It's been so much more. So that is, to me, that's an example. To me, that's why we have a hard time, because generationally, who's running it? Who's doing it? Who's having it? But behind the scenes.
Right. Because they don't want to acknowledge how much we have done.
No, they don't.
Yeah. Interesting. So I think another example of what new opportunities are available, and we kind of talked about this, we're able to pursue hobbies, even if those hobbies are reading. Like you said, reading a fictional, reading something fictional.
So mine is Black romances. Right. I'm totally into Black romances.
Something where it's going to take you away and you are not, you're able to truly, you're not thinking. Right.
I'm just transported. I'm drawn into the story.
Right.
I am captivated. I'm not thinking. Whereas nonfiction is great, but I'm thinking, I'm learning.
You're learning.
Whereas when I'm doing fiction, I'm transported into the story. So if it's Black romance, if it's sci-fi, if it's a mystery, something that transports your mind, so that when you look up, time has gone by and you're just, that was, especially if the book is good, baby, I'm like, oh, don't leave me with a cliffhanger. I'm like, wait, where's the second book at? I need more. But that's what we need, because it reestablishes and realigns, to me, your energy. You get a burst that you didn't even realize.
Get that burst. So I want to ask you though, because some folks will say, well, I'm no longer working and retired, so I've decided to, build this small business based on a lifelong passion. Do you think that's rest?
It's a form of rest. And I say that because all rest is not just sleeping. Rest to me is when you are restoring, if you want to think of it, your energy level, your inner bank account. Because rest means you're pouring into it. So instead of being, when we keep going, we look back and our inner bank account is depleted.
Right. It's in the negative.
It's in the negative $200, $300, $1,000, whatever. When you sleep, you're making a deposit. But building a business is fulfilling, and it adds a deposit to you. So for example, myself, I didn't know I was going to become an artist.
Right.
That it's, I am an artist now.
Right.
And I'm using that to help build my legacy.
Right.
I'm using that to express my voice. So when I birth, and I say it, when I birth a painting,
Mm-hmm.
it is like I just deposited $500 into my rest account.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
But also, too, believe it or not, in doing that, it's also forced me, okay, you just spent 3 days up, can't go to sleep because you had to birth this project, this painting.
Right.
Take your butt to bed.
Right.
Pay attention. Your wrist is hurting. You've been overdoing it.
Yeah.
Being more mindful of prioritizing me and all aspects of me.
Right. Yeah. So community engagement and leadership, to me, when we talk about that, I don't really see that. And I guess, and everybody's going to be different, but to me, that doesn't seem like rest. It seems like we're getting involved. And again, we're putting ourselves in the forefront. So do you see community engagement and that type of leadership role as true rest?
So I'm going to use the Target situation with Tabitha Brown.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, she got so much because she said, she told people to do what they choose.
Mm-hmm.
But she mentioned how hard it's been to get into establishments for Black businesses.
Right.
And how the numbers are what keep Black businesses there.
Right.
And even though you're boycotting, which has made an impact down the road, what does that look like in the future for Black businesses trying to get in the stores?
Right.
And what came to my mind was community. Why can't we as a community come together and have our own nationwide chain of stores called Onyx, which is like Target, where we as a community prioritize Black businesses?
Right.
You go into different areas, and I don't know if this is politically correct, but there's little Chinatown, there's little Mexico, there's little, there's where the Orthodox Jewish people are.
Right.
But when they talk about our area, it's ghetto.
Right.
No. How come we as a community can't come together? Because then now our Black businesses can rest in knowing I don't have to try to fit in with Amazon. I've got this Black-owned Amazon that's just as successful, or getting to be just as successful. Yeah. It's the same thing with, like I said, a Target, nationwide Target, call it Onyx. I don't know. I was telling you, because there's a fabric store going out of business. They have stores, like 300 stores across 19 states. Someone buy that, turn that into a establishment where we do not only just Black brands, but everyone else too.
Right.
But we prioritize our own. Because what people don't realize is, while they say, oh, we don't have a White History Month, it's because every month is white. Every day is White History.
They're really still saying that?
Yes, darling, because we are in Black History Month. But every day is, that's what white supremacy is. They are the Target reaches out. It's okay. You can jobs. Yeah. How about we prioritize us? And that's community. You can go further with the community gardens. You can go further with joining your nonprofits to support them. You can go further as to just getting to know your neighbors, your Black neighbors, your people of color neighbors. Right. To build community and like even a neighborhood watch. Yeah. I don't know you, but if I'm home, I'm watching your house. When you're home, watch my house. That's a form of community and togetherness that we need more of, especially in this climate. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, personal liberation. I was just going to say, touching on the empty battery. Yeah. I stopped pouring it from an empty cup. Okay. Because when you deplete yourself, you're empty. Now you're pouring to others, but you're empty. Right. Which is depleting you even more. So that being able to take the time to rest has allowed me to reconnect with myself. And she'll tell you, people are like, who is this person? Oh my God. It's because I've reconnected with me. Yeah. And I'm speaking up for me. For you. Yeah. And then it allows me to strengthen the relationships that matter. Okay. Sometimes we have, even with people we're close to, things that bother us and we don't say anything. Right. And it just eat at us. Instead of stepping into our authentic selves and saying, hey, this bothers me. Right. Can we talk about it? And even sometimes that rest might mean pulling back from people you love, pulling back from your children, pulling back from your spouse, pulling back from,
people that you are close to, sometimes you have to do that in order to, like you said, you're pouring into someone else or someone else's for, a number of people
Out of obligation.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes in order to rehydrate and to fill your cup up again, you have to pull back from even the ones that you love, not indefinitely, but you have to have that time. Whether it's a weekend, a couple hours, whatever it is, you have to pour back into yourself. And that's what truly, to me, what resting is about. Knowing when, hey, I love you, but you know what? I need some time for me. Don't take it personal. Even as your kids, don't take it personal, but mom needs some time.
But but what they'll realize is when you come out of this, when you emerge, or as you keep reemerging, because it's an ever-going process,
right?
They're going to see a better version of you.
Yeah,
a more, not just authentic, but it should strengthen the relationships that are supposed to be for you. It will strengthen those relationships,
right?
Because you're strengthening yourself.
But you also said something really good when you told your daughters to take off that cape. If they haven't seen that as an example,
then they don't know. All they know is the cape.
All they know.
And so seeing it, where I'm setting an example not only for my children, but as we get older, we're now becoming the elders.
Right.
And it is our time to set examples.
Right.
For other people who are watching and we don't even realize that they're watching.
Right. Right. So we talked about the personal side of it. We talked about the opportunities. And this is one that you do a lot of. And I'd be like, I'm looking at your social media, your political statements. How is that rest? How is that? I mean, if we are trying to step back, how is even talking about what's going on in the political arena? And again, I know every Black woman is different, but how is that rest? Because you do it way more than I do.
Of course, but I've actually had to slow myself down.
Okay.
Because I was picking up the torch for everything.
Right. So
and my mentor had to tell me, you have to pick and choose. Everything ain't it. You don't have to stand up and do the fight for that's the cape. That's the strong Black woman. But for me, and this is, like I said, this has been ingrained in me because as a child, my grandmother said, make the world a better place for the person coming in after you. So it is not just for my people. It's for whoever's coming in behind me. If I go into the store and the cashier register was in a grumpy, stumpy mood, can I help you out that mood? Because the person behind me don't deserve that negativity.
Right.
Or let me check you so that you check yourself for that negativity. So, for me, I've used my art has been more of my expression now for my political voice because one, they're trying to erase us.
Yeah.
They are trying to erase the history that truly is American history. But two, we all have opinions.
Right.
What we have to learn is other people don't have to accept our opinions. Sometimes just voicing them and having a conversation we don't always agree.
Right.
But just having a conversation broadens my mind, broadens your mind, and it gets other people thinking.
But is that rest? That's what I'm saying. If we are supposed to be, as the 92% said, we are stepping back. How is making any political statement, especially right now in this climate, how is that rest?
Because a political statement of saying that 92% is resting is one, a political statement.
Okay.
And two, because if we swallow it and hold it in, it has no place to go.
Okay.
It's called getting it out. Just because I say it doesn't mean I'm going to do something about it. But I've made my statement clear.
Okay.
You can either choose to. And that's the thing. We have to let other people, they can accept it. They don't have to accept it. They don't agree. They not agree. Has nothing to do with what I do.
Okay. Has
nothing to do with what I say. So great example is we've just had the Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar performed. Didn't watch the game. I watched Kendrick Lamar. There are people who are praising his performance. There are people who are like, oh, it was weak. It was boring.
Yeah.
Was it an entertainment performance? No, it was not. If you wanted an entertainment performance, you got to go back to some other, like Beyonce or Bruno Mars, Rihanna, Prince,
right,
Michael Jackson. Those were performances of that nature. Kendrick Lamar had so many subliminal Easter eggs throughout his entire performance that his was more of he made political statements
Okay.
throughout the entire performance with a smile. I'm not going to get in trouble where he smiled. But just from Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam to what Samuel L. Jackson was saying to the whole thing being set up as a giant video game controller. That America is a game. But a lot of people, and yes, they were dressed in red, white, and blue, but red is the Bloods, blue is the Crips.
Okay.
Serena Williams in blue doing the Crip walk. Hello.
Yeah.
SZA wearing red. That's the Bloods. Now, I'm not saying they're affiliated with any of those.
Right.
But Kendrick is from California. He knows about those things. There's so much hidden political messages that people are still discovering. Same thing with Get Out. Oh my gosh, the political Easter eggs throughout Get Out was profound. Those are ways that artists and we as Black people have been for centuries, from carrying rice into our cornrows.
Yeah.
Singing Negro spirituals to tell the way.
Right.
To now, I do it with my art. You are doing it with your conversations and your podcasts. Kendrick does it with his rap lyrics.
Right.
You know, we are all somehow have that voice. So rest means, for me, the freedom to speak and speak and let my voice be heard. But rest also means I don't have to do anything more.
Right.
Then let it be heard.
Then let it be heard. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that. You sent me some stuff I still have to look at that's piecing together all the little Easter eggs. So now societal impact. And we talked about boundaries and redrawing those boundaries and how this act can help redraw the boundaries of what is socially expected of Black women, particularly as we age, advocating for more sustainable approach to work-life balance, and then encouraging supportive policies. Again, I don't see that as rest, but some Black women will see that, okay, I am making my voice be heard. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to go out and do anything, but like our last episode, podcast that we had, we talked about, our voices and being able to authentically talk about things and not hide our voices as much anymore. So I guess some women could see that. Someone will look at that and say, I want to voice my opinion, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to step in and do anything about it.
Or two things came to mind when you said that. Is one, my grandmother used to do this when I was a little girl, and of course she was over 50 at the time. Somebody would bump someone, when we're out and about, and someone is like in your path, and you say, "Excuse me,"
right?
She would say, "Excuse you," and I'd be like, "Grandma," I'd say, "Excuse me," and she heard me. And we went through this debate from little girl to teenage girl till she passed on.
Yeah.
She always would say, "Excuse you." I now understand that. She was holding her own space.
Okay.
So when we walk, we are naturally accommodating. I walk quickly. I will walk, and
I've seen her run over some people in the airport. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
girl.
but not just that. I walk to a door, and I have noticed white men standing and see me coming and will wait for me to open the door. White women will wait for me to open, or just people, period. Wait for me to open the door for them because they see me coming. Multiple times, because where I used to work is with the double glass doors. So they'd see me coming and I'd see them stop. So now I slow my roll. I rest in my step. You open the door.
She's resting. She was resting.
I'm resting in my step because and I hold my space. I've had, I'm supposed to move out the way.
Right.
Why are you taking up the whole sidewalk? This sidewalk has one way to go.
I just walk behind her because I know she'll clear the way.
I will.
And I don't have to do nothing.
But it's for real. We tend to move out the way naturally.
Right.
I don't do that anymore. I hold my space. Or if it's a little kid, especially, I'll just stand still because the little kid ain't paying attention.
That's so funny. She has.
I'll just stand still and wait because I don't want to collide in the little kid.
I've seen little kids bump into her.
And they be like, the parent be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I'll be like, "Excuse you." That's what my grandmother would have said. But that's what I mean. I'm holding my space.
Okay.
Because my space is valid. So that's the one thing I've done. But the other thing in regards to the politics area and my voice. So when you discover your passions, like my IT work,
Mm-hmm.
and you set up your own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it puts you in a position to have no more fuck bucks to give.
Okay.
And I say that because you were there with me through the situation
Mm-hmm.
with my work.
Mm-hmm.
I had a voice for everybody. So I put everybody on my back.
Yeah.
The strong Black woman.
Right.
It was great. I made political change within,
Right.
but then it got flipped back on me.
Right.
And yes, it impacted my health with high blood pressure, even
Yeah.
when I was on vacation.
Right.
It impacted me with stress.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And the peace I had was knowing I'm out. Mic drop.
Yeah.
This is my last day.
Right.
I would not have been able to do that had I not believed in myself, believed in I was worthy of more. And the rest.
The rest.
Because the rest I took to build in my own stuff. And then the rest while I was away was like, this is killing me.
Yeah.
So is it worth killing me? And I'm not saying everybody should do this because financially we all have obligations.
Right.
But what I'm saying is when you pour into yourself, you're able to see where you want to go and create and make the contacts that's needed for those pathways and those doors to open. And from that, doors opened like I never expected. And I'm in a different shift in place than I ever thought I would be.
Right. Right.
And I'm able to now rest.
Right.
And I didn't have a heart attack for it.
Right. Yeah. And that was kind of not the same scenario, but when I was, I won't say put out, but when I was released from my, my employment, I looked at that as this is my chance to rest, not keep giving to something that I didn't totally agree with. Because working in the industry I worked in, and how I feel about certain things when it comes to our health and well-being, that was really tough for me. And yes, it was a great salary. And yes, it
was a consistent pay bill salary.
Right. It was consistent, but it didn't give me that peace of mind, that rest. I wasn't able to embrace the true rest that I needed while working in that industry. So, did you have anything you wanted to add before we go on to what are some ideas?
Well, I just wanted to say that stepping back is a bold act of self-love.
Yeah.
You're loving yourself. You're celebrating your own strength.
Yeah.
The power that lies in resting, peace, and joy.
Yeah.
And then we then choose what truly serves us.
Right.
Because if it's not making you happy, if it's not teaching you, if it's not making you better, why is it in your life?
Why is it in your life?
And I know that sounds selfish, but it's not.
Right. And that can also even people, not just things, not just jobs, but even people, if they're not.
I use that on people. If they're not teaching me something, if they're not bringing me joy, if they're not serving me, not bringing me joy, not making me a better person, teaching me something, why are they in my life?
Why are you
Because
there?
it should be an exchange.
An exchange.
When I go to work, the exchange is you paying me for my services.
Right.
Hopefully it's at the value of my work.
Right. And you're pouring into me just as I'm pouring into you. Right.
So if I'm a friend with you and all I'm doing is pouring into you.
Right.
And you're not pouring and all you're doing is you're taking succubus.
Right.
Pulling it out for me. What is that? How is that benefiting me?
Right.
And that's why I said it's not selfish. Yes, there's going to be times where you might benefit me more than I benefit you, but it's still a give and take.
It's a give and take.
It's not a take and take and take. So that's just what I wanted to add about it's a bold, powerful, like I said, it's an act of resistance.
Right.
It's a bold act of self-love. So now you're about to say examples of making space and resting for ourselves.
So there's some certain strategies that we can all use and all try to embrace that rest. And some of them, and this is one thing that her and I have talked about even developing, especially for Black women over 50, nature therapy retreats.
Oh gosh, yes, we're gonna buy that property in Portugal.
Right?
Have y'all come out to some true
Exactly.
nature and have some art and some mind stimulating conversations to just truly, but the benefit is rest.
The benefit is rest. And one of those things that we want to incorporate in our retreat is your art.
My
art therapy is, you don't even have to be a great artist, but just being able to flow and use, whatever kind of, whether it's paints, whether it's acrylic, whatever it is, but just to be able to do that can be a release to some people and just a way of pouring in and getting that true rest where you're not thinking about anything else but what am I putting on this beautiful canvas.
Right.
So that's one area where these strategies for embracing rest, nature therapy retreats, creative expression workshops, writing, art, poetry.
Oh my gosh.
Spoken word.
I even do poetry just to release some things when I go through.
Because that's a form of journaling.
Yes, it's that journaling.
Right. So
but that's also without a censor or a filter.
With that.
If the punctuation is wrong, if the spelling is wrong.
Exactly. Who cares?
This is the release for you. Yes.
And sometimes even being in that community, like the retreats, being in a community with other women who are looking for the same thing or have the same path or want to take the same path, that is also a way of rest. Because when you find your people, when you find your group, that can be such a stimulating, relaxing, enjoyable bonding connection that you have with like-minded women. And that's where I think a lot of times
the sisterhood.
And a lot of times we don't have that sisterhood, especially in the workplace, because we're so competitive, which it doesn't need to be.
It does not need to be. We should be lifting each other up. But you just said the thing. You will meet like-minded people, which means you're going to bring more people that enrich your life.
Exactly. Movement and arts. What that could be dancing.
Yes. But even just movement in itself, that's what people do. Yoga. Was it
Tai Chi?
Yeah. Qigong. Is that what it says?
Qigong.
Yeah. But just movement, because I've been dealing with some mobility issues.
Right.
From sitting so much.
Right.
So it's just moving myself, whether it's dancing it out and playing a good song where I'm just dancing like no one is watching because I don't care.
Right.
Or even, you wanted this, you agree? Okay. Or even, because we do this, the solfeggio tones with the sound bowl.
Yes.
The bowls and the different frequencies that also when you can just use it in the background or to meditate or to go to sleep, just to help just get our mind, especially in this political climate where we're going to want to be everything, all that we could be, when we know we need to know the time. We'll know when it's time.
Right. And I like this one, silent sanctuaries. And it doesn't have to be you go anywhere. It can be just in your home, a dedicated quiet space where it truly is quiet. That's why sometimes, like when Pierre's not here, I'll turn off everything. And just sit or just be and do what I have to do in complete silence. And sometimes we don't really understand how noise, and even if it's not a lot of noise, but just how noise impacts our well-being, how it impacts what we're feeling, where our emotions are.
Right.
And sometimes just sitting in that silence, for me, is just like a release. I can feel my whole body just releasing, and that energy is just really flowing in a positive way.
And I believe that's part of why they like meditation. And I mean the meditation where you don't have a guided meditation, where you're just in silence.
Yes.
Because your mind shifts to different levels.
Yes.
And you'll hear your voice. You'll hear stuff.
Yeah.
I will say mine wasn't being still. It's what I miss about running. because that
Yeah.
was silent for me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if I truly got in, once I hit the first mile, I hit a rhythm and I didn't need music because then it was so quiet. And then my mind just started, the
Right.
stuff I got from just running, it was just like
Right.
an endorphin bliss. I miss that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we just have, those are like the out of the box type
Yeah.
of ideas. But then you have the basic, just structure time for rest, like you said. Set a bedtime. I've got to get better because I used to really be in bed by 9:30. I'd be asleep by 10.
She would.
And now I don't know. It just I need to get back to that because I can feel that when I get up in the morning, I'm a little more sluggish because I'm going to bed later and engaging in too many screen times. So I've got to really get back to my own set time for rest. And then digital detox. You talk about this.
I have to put my phone down.
Yeah.
I'm being more cognizant of putting my phone down.
Yeah.
Of putting my phone, I have an iPhone. I don't know about Androids, but you can set your do not disturbs to different ones.
Right.
I have one that's on tech. I have one text me only. I have one that's complete do not disturb.
Right.
So that I know during this time, it sends messages to people. It lets people know I'm doing something.
Right.
So I don't feel as, oh my gosh,
right.
It's important, but it's also putting it down.
Right.
Because what you don't realize is you're straining your neck looking down all the time.
Right.
Because none of us want to do this like we're supposed to.
Right.
We're supposed to be holding the phone up here, eye level. We tend to do this, which puts strain on the back of your neck. There are exercises for that. It also is overstimulation for your eyes.
And your brain,
and your brain. So taking that time to say, no technology. I mean, technically, I'm still working on this. You should not wake up and grab your phone is the first thing that you do. You can use that time, the first minutes that you wake up, to just have some quiet.
Right.
Setting intentions for the day.
Setting intentions for the day. Yeah.
So
that's a form of rest. Setting your intentions for the day is a form of rest.
So, for example, when we finish this, I already told her, I've had meetings. We're doing this. I'm meted out.
Right.
I am.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm done. But a lot of us won't be like, oh, we're done.
Especially when you have your own business or trying to build a business.
You're like, oh, okay.
One more thing.
We do another
One more thing.
No, when I'm done, I literally, I ain't touching my laptop.
Yeah.
I might peruse my messages after an hour or two, but we're just going to go, I'm going to decompress.
Right.
Whether that's reading a book.
Yeah.
Whether that's talking with you or having a nice lunch, but I've set now parameters.
Right.
But it's also setting up a space. And I know this sounds crazy, but even especially now, because a lot of us work hybrid, we work remote.
Right.
And we have a home office. Setting up an office, like your lovely space here that reflects you.
Right.
That makes you come in and you feel, when you come in here, I'm sure you go, this is her space. This is her she shed. This is what she said. They got man cave. This is what she said. But not only that, when you leave, at least for me, I can't speak for you. I would leave my office. I'm done for the day. Yeah. That was my way of, and that includes leaving my laptop in my office.
Yeah.
I'm done for the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
People hit me up. I'm done for the day.
Yeah. And like I said, it is hard when you have especially when you have your own business. And yes, ladies who, work from home or managers or whatever, you have to make a conscious effort of saying, I'm not going to pick up my phone after blah, 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 this time or whatever. Or I'm not going to open up my laptop or whatnot, but you have to make that conscious effort because that is a digital detox.
Right.
And I was going to say one thing about the blue light that I have learned, and kind of what I have learned is that blue light, when you're in bed and it's at nighttime, when you have that light hitting your eyes, that stimulates your melatonin, and your melatonin is how you wake up in the morning. So that's why when we rise in the morning, if you go outside and you look not directly in the sun, but look in the direction of the sun, then that stimulates that melatonin. It's backwards. The melatonin won't stimulate. I should say it won't stimulate
Okay.
if the light is hitting your
So
eyes.
you're waking your body up.
You're
instead
waking
of
your
shutting
body.
down.
Right. You
Got
are.
you. Yes.
Exactly.
So basically, you're tricking your body's like, oh, it's still light out, so we
Exactly.
we
Right.
should
I
still
said
be
that
up.
backwards.
No
but
worries,
yes,
but I
yeah,
get it now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So you need
Which is
to,
why, like in Alaska, where they have 20, sunlight some
right for
23
hours.
hours a day.
Yeah.
They have the total blackout curtain,
Right.
so that they
so they
can
can
go to
sleep.
sleep.
Right.
Trick their body. It's nighttime. It's
It's
time to
nighttime.
rest.
Right. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So we have to put that phone down. And they say 2 hours before you're ready to go to bed, put your phone down so your body can start adjusting, start saying, okay, it's time to sleep.
Makes sense, because I noticed phone will do that nighttime shift. And maybe that's part of why. But you still should put your phone down.
You still right. You still put the phone down.
Don't use that as an excuse. Put your phone
Right.
down.
And like we said, gentle physical activity.
Baby, you can get so many free activities from Instagram,
Right.
from TikTok, from social media platforms. So many people have, that's their passion.
That's their passion.
So they will show you in 30, or YouTube.
Right.
30 seconds and up, just little different movements.
And it doesn't have to be high impact.
No.
It can be gentle.
Like this one, turning your hand this way, elbow out, and going your note. That stretches all of this out. And if you're on the keyboard, just different things.
Just
like
different things. Walking is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you try and get that 10,000 steps in, but it's still a way to give your body gentle exercise, but you're still resting, because whether we're resting doesn't, like she was saying, it's not just sleeping, but it's just making sure you're doing something that brings you peace.
Getting up every hour. I know everyone tries to do that with their Apple Watches.
Getting up from sitting.
Yes, but that's resting your joints. Yeah. Because when you sit too long, you do become sedentary. You're not using your muscles. Yeah. So you should be like getting up every hour. Yeah. Just so that you don't lock your systems into your joints into place. So it's a form of rest, because now I'm like resting, activating muscles that have been not in use, which then is going to cause me painful rest.
Right, exactly. And like we said, cultivating a support community, women that are like-minded, preferably women that you enjoy talking to, women that bring peace, women that can understand where you're coming from and pour into you just as you can pour into them.
So she knows this, and we've talked about this before, but last year was rough for me mentally. I had some very low mental health days where it was not easy. And having someone that you can text or call and they understand, to the point where her and her husband was like, okay, you can do what you got to do, but don't turn your phone off. We just want to know that we can be in touch with you. Right. And then being comfortable enough to be like, I feel safe in that. Yeah. Because you don't feel safe emotionally with everyone, but feeling comfortable enough to feel safe in that, so that I could go out and give my mental facilities the rest it needed to recharge, to bounce back. Because for me, it was the news that some family member had cancer. Right. I've already lost enough people to cancer. Right. So that was like someone, if I was Iron Man shocked me in the chest. And I needed a minute to be like Wolverine and to repatch all the things. Right. But that takes time. And to know I could reach out. And I did. I reached out and I said, I'm going through this. And you and Pierre we're here for you. We got you. But we still want to stay in contact with you. Because that's a lot of things when we don't think about it and we drop that low, we want to isolate ourselves. We think that that's what we need when we don't. Right. We need at least someone with a lifeline. Right. So that's the community. You need to build that support community so that you have 1, 2, 3 lifelines that you can reach out to. Exactly. And they'll know how to give you space, but to also not just give you space, but be there, and then you also can be there for them. Exactly. So any last words you want to add before we head on out? Like I said, remember, rest is an act of resistance. I like that. It's a radical act of resistance. You need to see, now you need to do a painting on that one. I'm thinking about your painting. But rest is an act of resistance. Yeah. It's a form of self-love. Definitely. And
And it doesn't mean you're being selfish.
You are not being,
No.
putting yourself first, especially for Black women, is not being selfish.
And especially at our age.
Ooh.
We have to learn that it's okay.
Because the newer generations, I have to say, and I think it's because we've taught them. I'm not saying our generation didn't teach us, but we were taught children are seen, not heard.
Right.
And I know for me, I wanted my children to be seen and heard at the right times. There's still times children don't need to be heard, but I'm just saying. So
Right.
we've instilled in the newer generations to do more, to be more, put themselves first.
Put themselves
But
first.
over 50, I think it's a little bit more complex in ourselves to feel no guilt. There is no guilt.
Right.
And putting yourself first and saying no is a full sentence,
Right.
without explanation, without all of the things.
Yeah.
And just, hey, resting.
Resting.
And that's a good excuse to use. I'm resting.
Right.
The 92% is resting.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And I will say this, there's social media is coming out. Where's Kamala Harris in all this? Where's Kamala Harris in this? Where were you?
Yeah.
At the polls. Kamala Harris is resting.
Yep. Yep.
She's done. So she's sitting back chilling where she's supposed to be. So why are you asking where she is? She worked hard.
She worked hard.
She's resting.
Yeah.
So we've worked hard.
Yeah.
So it's okay for us to rest.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please always remember, subscribe, like, hit the notification if you find value, value, or like the content. Please support the channel. I can't do it without you. So
wait, and she always does this. I'm the one that be doing it. She has a book out, people.
I do.
It's 30 years and counting. This is her and her loving husband. This is the picture that was the inspiration for that painting. Check her out. Hit her website up. Purchase the book. Leave your comments. Once you read it, I'm sure, I know she would love to hear.
Exactly.
We're going to have to do a segment where I'm interviewing her about this book.
I know.
People. But yes,
yeah,
please
the book,
like
that Love Park Connection, it's in the description below. So, all right.
Like and subscribe.
Thank you guys. See you guys again soon.
Bye.